scattered, so will I seek out my sheep. And I will deliver them out of all the places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day.
Now, it's cloudy and dark day. That's just talking about the time before the coming of the Lord. It's called the day of the Lord in the Bible. Matthew 24 tell you about it. Go ahead and read on.
And I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries.
Wait a minute, Lord. So I'm going to bring them out from the people and I'm going to gather them out of the countries. Go ahead and read on.
And will bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers.
Go ahead.
And in all the inhabited places of the country. I will feed them in a good pasture.
Go ahead.
And upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. There shall they lie in a good fold. And in a fat pasture shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel.
Go ahead and read.
I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, saith the Lord God. I will seek that which was lost, and bring again that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick.
See what the Lord said? I'm going to feed and I'm going to strengthen that was sick. And I'm going to do that when I bring them back. Go ahead and read on.
But I will destroy the fat and the strong. I will feed them with judgment.
But I'm going to destroy the fat. And he's talking about them prophets that have not fed his flock. Skip down to verse 20. Go ahead and read.
Therefore thus saith the Lord God unto them. Behold, I, even I, will judge between the fat cattle and between the lean cattle.
Now, I want you to put a mark here because you're coming back. Let's go to Matthew chapter 25 so we can understand what time this is that we are reading about here. It's going to help us understand exactly what time the Lord going to gather his flock and when he's going to heal that is sick. Let's start reading here in Matthew 25, and we'll begin reading at verse 31. Matthew 25 and 31. You ain't got much more to go. Just hold on. 25 and 31. 25 and 31. Okay. Go ahead and read.
When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him.
Now he's talking about when the Lord makes his coming here. When he come in his glory and all the holy angels with him, look what's going to happen. Go ahead and read on.
Then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory.
Then he's going to sit up on the throne of his glory, and look at what he's going to do. Go ahead and read.
And before him shall be gathered all nations. And he shall separate them one from another.
Go ahead.
As a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goat.
He's going to separate them one from another as a shepherd divideth the sheep from the goat. The sheep, that's flock, isn't it? And the goats, that's flock too, isn't it? Go ahead and read on.
And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left.
Go ahead.
Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world.
Now we understand what time we were reading about in Ezekiel, don't we? Let's go back there. We are reading about at the coming of the Lord here, because that's when he's going to gather his flock. Let's go back and let's read that 20th verse, Ezekiel 34, and we'll pick it up at verse 20. 34 and 20. Go ahead and read.
Therefore thus saith the Lord God unto them.
Go ahead.
Behold, I, even I, will judge between the fat cattle and between the lean cattle.
Now when is he going to do that at his coming? Go ahead and read on.
Because ye have thrust with side and with shoulder, and pushed all the disease with your horns, till ye have scattered them abroad.
Go ahead.
Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey. And I will judge between cattle and cattle.
Go ahead.
And I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd.
Now even again, his servant David, right? Well, David is dead now, isn't it? So this has to be after the coming of the Lord and after the resurrection. Go ahead and read on.
And I, the Lord, will be their God, and my servant David a prince among them.
Go ahead.
I, the Lord, have spoken it.
Now let's go to Hosea chapter 13, and we'll pick it up at verse 9. We got just a little bit more. Just hold on. Hosea 13, and we'll begin reading at verse 9. Hosea 13 and 9. 13 and 9. Okay. We read earlier in this 13th chapter of Hosea Hosea, when they offended in Baal, they died, but then they sinned more and more. Start reading at verse 9 now. Go ahead and read.
O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself.
Go ahead.
But in me is thine help.
See what it says? You have destroyed yourself in Israel, but in me you're going to find help. That is the only place you're going to find help at too, Israel, is in the Lord. Go ahead and read on.
I will be thy king, whereas any other that may save thee in all thy cities.
I'm going to be your king. There is nobody else that can save you in all of your cities. I'm going to be your king, Israel. You know, I was your king in the beginning, but you didn't want that. He going to tell you about it. Go ahead and read on.
And thy judges of whom thou sayest, give me a king and princes.
Go ahead.
I gave thee a king in mine anger, and took him away in my wrath.
You know, Israel had a king, and that was the Lord. But they didn't want him, so they went in and told Samuel, you go and ask the Lord to give us a king. When they had a king, Samuel got upset about the thing. Lord said, go ahead and give them what they asked for. They have not rejected you, Samuel, but they have rejected me, that I should not be ruler over them. So now he said, I gave you one in my anger, and then I turned around and I took him back in my wrath. Go ahead and read on.
The iniquity of Ephraim is bound up. His sin is hid.
Go ahead.
The sorrows of a travailing woman shall come upon him. He is an unwise son.
Go ahead.
For he should not stay long in the place of the breaking forth of children. I will ransom them from the power of the grave.
So the Lord said, I'm going to bring them up on the They died, didn't it? And they, you know what I'm saying? He said, now the Lord said, I'm going to ransom them up from the power of the grave. When he going to ransom them up? He going to ransom them up at his coming. Let's go back to Ezekiel chapter 37 now, and we're going to pick it up at verse 11. Ezekiel 37, and we'll pick it up at verse 11. 37 and 11. Okay, go ahead and read. 37 and 11. Go ahead.
Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried, and our hope is lost.
Go ahead.
We are cut off for our parts.
Go ahead.
Therefore prophesy and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves.
See what he said? I'm going to open your graves, and I'm going to cause you to come up out of your grave. And we're going to understand exactly what time it is that the Lord is going to open those graves and cause them to come up out of their graves. Go ahead and read on.
And bring you into the land of Israel.
And I'm going to bring you into the land of Israel. Go ahead and read.
And ye shall know that I am the Lord, when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves.
Go ahead.
And ye shall put my spirit in you, and ye shall live. And I shall place you in your own land.
Go ahead.
Then shall ye know that I, the Lord, spoken it. And performed it, saith the Lord.
Go ahead.
The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying,
Now, Lord said, I'm going to bring you into your own land, it said, didn't it? Now, let's skip down to verse 20. Verse 20. Go ahead and read.
And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. And say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land.
He said, I'm going to bring them in their own land. Go ahead and read on.
And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel.
Now he said, I'm going to bring you up out of this grave, and I'm going to bring you into your own land, right? Show you when it is he's going to do that. Go ahead and read some more.
And one king shall be king to them all. And they shall be no more two nations.
Go ahead.
Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all.
You know, there was two nations, because after Solomon died, the nation split. 10 tribes had the name Israel. 2 tribes took the name Judah. And they have not come back together since. But the Lord said, I'm going to put them back together. That's when I'm going to bring them up out of that grave and bring them into their own land. Go ahead and read on.
Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols.
Go ahead.
Nor with their detestable things.
And Israel still defiling themselves with their idols and with their detestable things, aren't they? Because Israel's still dealing in idolatry to this very day. Go ahead and read some more.
Nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places.
Go ahead.
Wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So they shall be my people, and I will be their God.
Go ahead and read.
And David my servant shall be king over them. And